Good day, and today we're going to look at poetry, in particular for this section, the idea of measuring poetry. So when we talk about the measurement of poetry, we're going to start with its basest form, and that is going to be the meter. Now the meter comes from the Greek term for measure. Now poetry is written in a regular pattern, usually of stressed and unstressed syllables. And the recognition and naming of broad wave patterns in lines of verse are like the waves on the shore or the wave patterns of sounds in physics. Now, when you look at poetry, there's usually a succession of lines or sentences that have the same metrical pattern, but it's not necessarily or exactly rhythmically identical. Usually, in a line of poetry, lines are going to be repeated again and again in the same broad rhythmical patterns, and that's going to create a rhythmical unit. So when we look at the measuring of poetry, the technical meaning means that you're going to have one stressed syllable and one or more unstressed syllables. Or perhaps you have one unstressed syllable and one or more stressed syllables. Now again, in poetry, you're going to have a measurable patterned conventional unit of poetic rhythm. For the non-technical meaning, it would be basically connected as how you might walk. For example, the pattern and rhythm of steps could be equal to the pattern and the rhythm of your poems. Also, the rhythm of music is connected to the movement of the body and the rhythmical pattern of movement. That's why when perhaps you're looking at lyrical poetry with the ideal of music, you're going to be looking at the stressed and unstressed syllables in a very rhythmical pattern. Now, when we start reading the actual poem and looking for its measurements, we would call that scansion, the system of using symbols to represent stressed and unstressed patterns in a poem in order to be able to read the poem. Now, scansion gives the broad wave pattern, but doesn't define the individual wave or the pattern. So when we look at the types of patterns when it comes to scansion, there are several different types because of how you might stress and unstress the symbols. So the first one that you might be looking at is the iambic, and that is going to be an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. So when we look at our example here, the way a crow shook down on me, you have these unstressed syllables with your articles like the and and then you're going to have a stressed symbol with the ideal of your verb and your noun becoming stressed. The way a crow shook down on me. Unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. The next type of scansion that we have would be the trochaic, also known as the trochee. And that would be stressed followed by unstressed. So it is the opposite of the iamb. Once upon a midnight dreary. So we have these stressed syllables starting it off instead of unstressed. We also have the anapestic or the anapest. Now this one is going to have two unstressed syllables followed by a stressed one. And again, you can see where I've got the unstressed being marked by stars and the stressed ones being marked by the apostrophe. The Assyrian came down like a wolf on the fold. The next type of scansion you have is the dactyl, and that would be the opposite of the anapestic, the one stressed followed by two unstressed. Hickory dickory dock. And the next one that we have is the spondaic or the spondee, and that's a foot composed of nothing but stressed symbols. We real cool. We left school. So it is all stressed. You have all apostrophes across. And then the last one that we have is the pyrrhic, which is three unstressed followed by a stressed. At their return up the high strand. Thanks for stopping by for this quick introduction for scansion, in particular, how you read or measure poetry. If you'd like me to go through some more, maybe perhaps do entire poems on the scansion of poetry, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what more I can cover. And as always, I appreciate it if you subscribed. Take care.